Ah, no, see. Hi, Gael. Can you please allow Natasha Pruden to be a panelist to test her connection, please?
Sure. Give me a second.
Yeah, please, interpreters, can you hear me now very well? Louise, please, can you confirm?
Button number 3, ensuring that everything is in working order. Can you please confirm that you can hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, good morning, Natasha. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. I'm happy to see you.
I'm happy to see you too. I don't see myself though. I'm just
Yeah, we can't see you also, please. If you can activate your camera.
That's why.
Excellent. Now it's good. Yeah,
you
please.
see me, but I don't see myself.
But
let me see something. I'll change that. Gallery. Here mine.
Oh, excellent. Please, Natasha, can you share your screen? Bottom middle of your screen, you will find a green button. You click on it and share with us your PPT.
Okay, let me see. Partager l'écran. Yes.
Yes.
Voulez-vous partager, démarrer? Oui, I'm just gonna see. So I will take care of my PowerPoint. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna see how I'm gonna do that. I've never done this before. So I put it like that. Okay. Like that?
Not yet.
You don't see it, eh? Oh, okay. Good thing I connected early.
Yeah, that's why I request that.
Okay. Vous ne pouvez pas démarrer le partage d'écran pendant qu'un autre participant partage son écran. So somebody else is already sharing their.
Yep, exact. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, please, you can do it now, Natasha. It will work.
Okay, yes, I have it here. Partager l'écran.
Excellent. It's coming. Yeah.
You have it?
Very good. Yeah, if
This
you
is
can
good.
only run it, please, Natasha, only to make sure that everything. Oh, excellent.
You see
Thank
everything?
you. Excellent. Perfect. And see you in a while. Thanks a lot.
Okay. See
Much
you.
appreciated.
It's at 9 o'clock, right?
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
EC time. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. Hi, Professor Widdowson.
See, Mohammed, how are you?
Good. Fine. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
I'm really very sorry. I know that it's too late in Canberra, but much appreciated. Thanks a lot for your support.
It saves flying halfway around the world.
Yeah, exact. Yeah, that's what's amusing with the technology. But thank you for joining us, and see you in a while. I can see that your camera is perfect, and also your mic is working very well. Thank you so much.
Very good. Okay, thank you.
See you. You're welcome. Thanks. Okay, who else is here? Okay. Yeah. Oh, good morning, Rita. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you? Good morning.
Very good. I'm happy to see you again.
Yes, you as well. I'm glad our connection is working.
It's really perfect. Your camera is perfect, and also your mic is working well. Please, Rita, can you share your screen? Bottom middle of your screen, you will find a green button. You click on it. Excellent. It's coming.
And can you see?
Yeah, if you excellent. If you can make it full screen and run it, please, to make sure that it. Excellent. It's working. Yeah, if you can run it, please. Oh, it's perfect.
All right.
Yeah, see you in a while. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're
Bye
welcome.
now.
Thanks. Dear panelists, as we are now coming to start of our session, we will put you as a participant, and we will call you back when your session is coming to start. Thank you so much for your understanding. Please, Gael, can you allow, please, Aduana Guatemala to speak, please?
Yes, sure.
Hi, good morning, Lisette.
Okay. Hey, good morning. Good morning, Mohammed.
How are you? Good to see you. We cannot see you. Please, if you can activate your camera. Excellent. Yeah. Yeah, please, if you okay, if you can speak only to try your mic, that can be perfect.
Good morning from Guatemala Customs Administration. Can you hear us well?
Yeah, very well. We can hear you. We can see you. This is perfect.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. See you in a while.
Okay.
Thank you so much. You will be now as a participant and when your session will start, we will call you back. Thank you so much. Hi, Gail.
Hi, Si Mohammed.
Please, Gail, can you make also Nadia as a co-host? You
Yes.
yes, to make sure that we can have.
Si Mohammed, I also see that Christina Bell is here. So
Uh,
maybe.
Yeah, if we can, you can test. She's a moderator. Yeah. Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Hi. Good afternoon, Christina. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'll be with
Excellent.
you guys in a minute. I'm just wrapping something else up.
Sure. Thanks a lot. See you in a while. Yeah. Yeah. Good morning, Marilu.
Good morning.
Oh, excellent. Good to see you, Marilu.
Good to see you too. Can I
Yeah.
show my presentation?
Yes, please. Yeah, a bottom middle of your screen, you will find a green button. You click on it.
Okay.
Excellent. If you can make it full screen. Okay, please, can you run it, please?
Yes.
Excellent. It's working very well. See you in a while. Thank you so much.
See you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Should we mute our screens when we're not moderating?
Yeah, you will be now as a participant, and we will call you back when your session will start. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You are welcome. Thanks.
Jálalo para que sea grande la pantalla.
Hi, good morning, Francisco.
Good morning. How you doing?
Fine, and you?
Oh, great. Thanks. I
great.
know that there was a problem last time, so I just wanted to make sure I reinstalled Zoom.
I can see that now it's working really, really very well.
Okay, so
Yeah,
let
please,
me.
sir, can you share your screen and to make sure
Sure.
that, yeah.
Absolutely. Share screen. Okay, where is it? This one. Okay.
Yeah, bottom middle of your screen. Yeah, excellent. Can you run it, please?
Sure.
Wow, excellent.
Okay.
Everything is working well.
Perfect. Then I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, see you tomorrow. Thanks a lot.
Take care. Have a great day. Great
too.
conference. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye. Yeah, please Gael, we have with us Mr. Alfonso Rojas. Can you make him as a panelist to test his presentation? Hi, good morning, Mr. Rojas.
Good morning.
Good to see.
I think my presentation is going to be tomorrow.
Yeah, I know, but only to test your connection and also share screen. If you can only activate your camera, please.
Sure, sure. Did you see my?
Yeah, if you can only please open a PPT, that can be perfect, please. Excellent.
Yes.
Yeah, if can you make it full screen, please?
Yes, sure. Like this?
Excellent, it's working well. However, we can't see you.
That's because I get in through the link of a not the panelist. I get in through the link of the everybody.
It's the same. It's the same.
Okay.
You can only activate your camera and it will work.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Now.
Excellent.
Okay.
I'm happy to see you, Mr. Rojas. See you tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Yeah, please, Gael, can you allow Marilu? She wants to test her background. Please, if you can allow her as a panelist to make sure that it works.
Sure.
Hi, Marilu. Marilu, we can't see you and we can't hear you.
Yes, I see Mohammed.
Yeah.
I am changing my background. A little moment, please.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Yeah, a ver. Can you hear me okay, no?
Yeah, we can hear you, but however, we can't see you.
A ver.
Excellent. Oh.
Okay.
Background is perfect. Your camera is perfect. And also your voice is perfect.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
See you.
See you in a while. Thanks. Yeah, please, participants, if you have one of the speakers in the attendees list, please, if he can or she can raise her or his hand to test his camera and his presentation. Yeah, I can see a hand that it's raised. Who's that? I can see that it's Manuel or I as Postigo, but it's not a speaker. Yeah, Seiko, please, if you can allow Mr. Sullivan. Oh, geez. Hi, good afternoon. Hi, good afternoon, Sylvan. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Excellent.
Thank
very
you.
well. Good to see you again. And your voice, your camera, it's working very well.
Perfect.
See you in a while. Thank you.
See you.
See you. No. start. Yeah. Dear participant, we will start right now. It's 3 o'clock. I can see that the attendees list it's increasing, but we have to start. Buenos días, buenas tardes, and buenas noches. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from where you are joining us. I would like to thank you for your great interest to this conference. Allow me to start by an introduction and give you some logistical note for the sake of the success of this conference. As all of us know that the current pandemic situation caused by COVID-19 has significantly disrupted the organizational and working modalities of customs administrations. Prior to the crisis, customs leaders around the world focused on redesigning their organization to increase efficiency. However, the current pandemic clearly showed the need for organizational resilience. One of the key enablers is staff resilience. This conference is organized as a response to the request from the Americas and Caribbean region and is building on the great success of the first ever WCO Global Conference on HRM in time of crisis held in January of this year. This conference is part of the capacity building support provided by the WCO to its member and especially to executive and professional customs human resource personnel, so they can effectively lead with customs executives the response to the current crisis and potential future crisis. We are happy to have nearly 500 participants, and I would like to apologize to all colleagues who will not be able to join us because the limit of the platform it's only 500. The meeting will be conducted in both languages, English and Spanish, with a simultaneous interpretation. You can choose the language channel at the bottom of your screen in the global icon. We will have a question and answer session after all presentation in each session. So please, I encourage you to post your comments, questions in the public chat during presentation, because we are not allowing participants to take the floor. In order to request the floor for your presentations, presenters, panelists will be introduced by the moderator, and the Zoom operator will invite you to the floor as a panelist. You will then have the control to activate your camera and microphone, as well to share the screen. We will do our best to record this conference and to make it available to the customs international community and our partners. I would like to invite now our Dr. Kunio Mukuria, WCO Secretary General, to do his keynote speech. Dr. Kunio Mukuria, please, Gail, can you make Secretary General as a panelist? Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Queridas amigas, amigos y colegas, me gustaría darles...
Dear friends, I would like to give you the most warm welcome to our regional conference on the management of human resources. We have all faced very difficult moments when facing the COVID-19 pandemic, which affected all regions and countries in the world. However, it is wonderful that the scientists and researchers have created vaccines in such a short period of time. However, we do see that there's a difference in vaccination rates amongst countries, but we can see that the perspective of this full vaccination gives us hopes to be able to face and be winning in this COVID-19 situation. In this situation, the customs administrations in all over the world have the responsibility of guaranteeing the chain, the logistics chain for these vaccines, what we have seen also in the resolution on vaccines and the cross-border movement of vaccines and medicines, which was adopted by the WCO Council in December 2020. Nevertheless, we need to look towards the future and not only take into account the immediate short term. We need to take the current situation to try to improve further our customs administrations to be able to better face the new challenges of this new world. Customs must be ready to face the pandemic and the era coming after the pandemic to be able to build this world and also allowing the legitimate movement of goods and people. This is also well reflected in the customs subject matter for this year. Customs helping with resilience and strengthening our supply chain as resilient supply chain. We need to strengthen our cooperation and our renovation, adopting advanced technologies, and we also need to work on resilience, putting people in the center of this change. This conference on building customs resilience through human capital is part of the WCO efforts to support efficiently all its members according to our theme for this customs year. We have all seen that the COVID pandemic has significantly had an impact and changed this work design and the operation for customs administrations. This situation has put customs officials in the center and has made them the ones responsible for resilience and business continuity. Customs administrations have started recognizing the link between the well-being of their staff and the capacity to recover for that organization. As a result, the human resources managers in the customs sector, like you, will have to adopt personalized viewpoints in which each and every employee will be considered unique. This includes their specific role in the organization, based on the Declaration on Gender Equality and Diversity in Customs, which was adopted also by the WCO Council in December 2020. They should also give customs officials preparation to face digitization in order to be able to back the renovation of customs systems. This web seminar will explore areas that have been proven to be a success in human resources to be able to give customs administrations knowledge on certain strategies and resources to be able to anticipate future crises and respond and create a situation to be able to have a normal trade flow. Also, a platform to comply and share best practices on a regional level and also on an international level. All of this related to human capital and the building of customs resilience. I hope you can use this opportunity to the maximum and that you have a very active participation, and I hope you have a very successful conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Secretary General Dr. Mekoria, for your insightful speech that paves the way for a successful conference. Thank you very much for being an. Now we will move to our next session, which is now the panel discussion, and I will invite our panelists to join us in this session. I will request to have Mr. Ricardo Chapa and also Mr. Werner Oval and also Professor David Widdowson and Mr. Sullivan.
Hello. Hi,
Hello.
Mohammed.
Hi, good afternoon, Deputy Secretary General. It's a pleasure to see you.
Pleasure is mine.
Yeah, thanks.
Hi to everyone. Hola. Buenos días a todos.
Yeah, please,
Hello,
Gael.
good morning to all.
If you can allow also Mr. Werner and Professor Widdowson and also Mr. Sullivan, please. Yeah, excellent.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Professor Widdowson.
Hello, everybody. Buenos días a todos y todas.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah,
good morning
please.
to everyone.
Yeah, please, Gael, if you can allow Aduana Guatemala. They entered with this name. Excellent. Yeah, allow me to introduce our panelists to this panel discussion. Mr. Ricardo Trevino Chapa, Deputy Secretary General, WCO Deputy Secretary General. Mr. Werner Oval Ramirez, DG Guatemala Customs Administration and the Vice President of the WCO Americas and Caribbean region. And Professor Widdowson, President of International Network of Customs University, and also Mr. Sullivan, who is the program manager of the Swiss State Secretariat for Economic Affairs, SECO Division for Trade Promotion. Thank you, all of you, to joining us in this panel discussion. And I will start by Mr. Ricardo and Mr. Werner by asking this question. All of us are witnessing in these times that customs administrations are more successful in coping with and responding to the complexity, volatility, and uncertainty of the customs business environment. According to you, what are the key enablers of customs resilience? I will start with you, Mr. Ricardo.
Sure, thank you. Thank you very much, Si Mohammed. And again, buenos días a todos. Un gusto poderles saludar.
Good morning, everyone. It is a real pleasure to be able to say hi to all of you from Brussels, from the World Customs Organizations, the home of the customs administrations. It is a real pleasure to be able to say hello and hi to all of you. Before answering your question, Si Mohammed, I would like to thank you all for taking part, for showing interest in our webinar. Sylvain, thank you. Thank you for your support. Also, thank you to SECO for your support in this program and allowing us to organize this event. I would like to say hello also to Werner. It's wonderful to see you here today.
Good to see you. It's a pleasure to share this panel with you as well. So again, muy buenos días. Y con gusto, intentando responder la...
Hello. Let's see. Let's try to answer the question that Si Mohammed put forward to us now. Well, first, without a doubt, we need to define resilience. What is resilience? Well, it is the way in which a human being or an organization can resist or tolerate an impact, a very strong, a deep impact in its environment, how it faces change. For example, in personal life, a resilient person could be able to adapt to the loss of a very, very close loved one. This would be the kind of resilience that we are talking about here today. So for this kind of organization, we are talking about when we need to take into account this factor, resilience, we need to see this is going to be a deep, a profound impact. And of course, COVID-19 is this kind of an impact. As the Secretary General already said, this is an impact that has forced humanity and customs administrations to face important challenges, new challenges. It's true that in general, customs as a basic fundamental sector for the influx of goods has been considered a sector that still have to have been working on the ground at the border. Sometimes in a situation that was dangerous, and the answer could have been very different. Depends on the situation, the socioeconomic situation of each country, also for each customs administration. Which factors could have given the support or created the situation to be successful, to be resilient faced with this situation? Well, leadership. To be able to lead and connect with the staff and have them all look in the same direction to get to the same objective, the same goal. To motivate colleagues to be able to face and overcome the situation. Number two, innovation. Innovation faced with situations where we need to present solutions, non-traditional solutions, solutions where we need to think out of the box and think about new ways of operating, how we can face and overcome a situation that is new and that forces us to adapt. And also, number three, flexibility, to be able to adapt and to have that agility to change operations, processes, these kind of soft skills that are so important to be able to be leaders. Also, in fourth place, technology, technological tools. The situation we have on a market. Well, yes, of course, we are facing important challenges, but it is through that technology that we can find solutions to be able to go forward facing these challenges. In fifth place, also, we need to take into account human resources. We use technology and we have great leadership, but we need to have human resources that is adapted, that has the capacities, and that is also committed. Without it, we cannot overcome this kind of situation. Human resources, the human factor, needs to be at the center of our answer to COVID-19, and that is going to be key in order to be resilient as customs administrations. I am sure that the rest of the panelists will be able to share their experience and have much more to say. This is all from me now, and I will be delighted to listen to other ideas and perspectives.
Thank you
so
very
much.
much, Deputy Secretary General. I will move to Director General, Mr. Ramirez. Please, can you share with us what are, in your view, the main or the key enabler of customs resilience based on your experience as a leader of Guatemala Customs, please?
Hola, muy buenos días, muy buenas tardes. Primero que nada, quisiera...
Hello, good morning and good afternoon. I would like to thank Dr. Kinyume Correa, our Secretary General, and also Mr. Ricardo Treviño Chapa, our Deputy Secretary General, and also C. Mohammed, our moderator, who has done a wonderful job in moderating our working session. 31 members of our region are present here today. We have more than 13 delegations from Europe and Africa, and this is part of the interest that the WCO has been garnering lately and is going to have a very important role to play in this crisis. WCO SECO program, thank you so much. They have carried out a wonderful job in many of the regions and in many projects related to trade facilitation and also to rules, and also now with this very important subject matter, which is human resources, human capital. As Regional Vice President, I would like to cite a comment on Twitter by the Bolivian Customs Administration. Resilience is the capacity to face problems and be stronger. This is the ability people have to recover after having faced difficulties. This definition is the ability that these administrations had to master in order to face and overcome this COVID pandemic. Some had better automatization than others. Some had to face closures, people getting the illness, and they had to see how they could work to maintain the economy in their different countries and to allow the flow of goods that were very important to be able to face this unprecedented crisis. What are the factors that can help face this kind of crisis? Well, and that show resilience? Well, first, as a customs administration, we could talk about governance inside the administration. For Guatemala, in our tax administration, we created a crisis committee that helped us take the most urgent decisions quicker. This was very, very important. And also the relationship with the private sector, who can be the best ally or the worst enemy. This is why if we still have a very good relationship with the private sector, we will be able to have them help us during a crisis. In our region, the Americas and the Caribbean, we had a regional private sector that took part in everything, also in the WCO, and they helped us face this crisis and also the pandemic. They have a very, very important role to play, specifically in the safe framework in that relationship between the customs and the private sector. Also, the direct intervention from the central government, changing legislation with institutional renovation, and also something that's very important, which is funding and resources. Something else I would like to highlight during this event, where many customs are present, we need to have disruptive thinking. Many customs are practically married to very traditional ways of working. When we hear things like, this is how it's always been done, this is what I was shown to do. But if what we were taught was wrong, we need to have disruptive thinking from managers, helping their teams get to innovative solutions. In Guatemala, with our program, we have broken through barriers that were there for years, and this was also thanks to the support we have had from the WCO. Digital transformation, this is also very important, that is also related to this disruptive thinking. We need to go to the electronic world. Control doesn't mean having more people. In a pandemic, this means maybe a wider spread of the illness. It doesn't necessarily mean to have technology. Many times we think that buying a scanner, we will have solutions to our problems, and it's not necessarily that way. Digital transformation means thinking how to evolve, but technology on its own will not help. We need to try to see how this technology will help us simplify and avoid discretionality. For example, e-documents and signatures need to be accepted. We don't need to think that these electronic processes are necessarily illegal. I would like to also talk about something that was mentioned during the 23rd conference of customs directors in America. First, we need to remember that technology are instruments, tools, but they are people. People are at the center of adaptation. They are the ones that help go forward with this process. And we need to take into account the human factor on the internal and external sector. We also need to take into account the needs of human resources, which are specific to each and every administration. We need to take into account their strategic needs and how their process is maturing. These administrations need to have a strong internal capacity to lead their human resources, to identify what jobs are needed, what competencies, and to have a strategic link with a plan, a strategic plan, also, of course, taking into account customs integrity. The COVID pandemic has given us these kinds of lessons learned. Also, with the WCO, they have the framework for the professionalization of customs and also the handbook for customs. And this is something that is going to be very interesting towards the future. I have to underline the very important role that the WCO has played during this crisis. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir, for this relevant and insightful information. And I will move now to Professor Widdowson. And I'm really very sorry. I know that it's too late in Canberra, but thank you very much for your usual and continuous support to all our programs. Based on what was shared by Secretary General and Deputy Secretary General and also DG of Guatemala, we can summarize that people are in the heart of all our activities, all what we have to do to be more resilient. And this has been confirmed by several studies and scientific research that has been conducted in this area. According to you, from an academia perspective, what could customs administration to do better to prepare their staff in managing crisis? That is the first part of the question. Second part, and to support their human capital during and after a crisis. And finally, if you can share with us, please, best practice in this area based in scientific articles in this time.
Thank you, Sir Mohammed, and I'll try my best to answer those questions. First of all, I'd like to thank the Secretary General and the Deputy Secretary General, and also the Regional Vice Chair for giving me this opportunity to speak at this important conference. Now, resilience is all about taking whatever the world throws at you and dealing with it. Early last year, you may know that Australia was hit by bushfires and floods and torrential storms, just about everything that nature could throw at us. So I want to start by telling you about one of our colleagues, Mary, who I think sums up the numerous challenges of the year and shows us what it means to be resilient. So putting aside the pandemic, which has caused considerable disruption, Mary was caught up in the coastal bushfires. Now, luckily, her house was saved and only the fencing around her property was lost. Luckily, she escaped the fires and made it back to Canberra just in time to have her car written off in the worst hailstorm we've seen for decades. But undeterred, she arranged for new fencing to be constructed, only to have it swept away by the subsequent floods. And determined not to be beaten by the elements, she again replaced the fencing, which has since been blown away by gale force winds. So that's the epitome of resilience. It's a keep on keeping on approach, which is truly admirable in terms of human characteristic. Most aspects of organizational capability ultimately rely on the capability of staff, and resilience is no exception. And in terms of preparing staff to manage a potential crisis, the best advice, I think, is to focus on the health of the organization. The healthier the organization, the better equipped it is to deal with unexpected events. And when you think about it, the characteristics of a healthy organization all relate to the characteristics of the people who work in that organization. For example, having a shared vision and shared values across the organization, they are shared by the people of the organization. Sound leadership and clear decision-making, cooperation across the whole organization, a high level of morale. It's the staff who need to have a high level of morale to keep going, effective staff training and development, employee involvement and role clarity, all very important. And the healthier the organization it is, the more flexible and agile it will be. And flexibility and agility are two essential criteria for effectively managing a crisis. Importantly, staff need to feel that they can contribute to the objectives of the organization, that they can make a difference, and most importantly, that their contribution is actually valued. So when you're in a time of crisis, it's important to have confidence in your staff and to show confidence in your staff. Rely on their knowledge and their experience, skills, and abilities to identify ways of dealing with the situation at hand. Trust their judgment and don't micromanage because it assumes that you know all the answers. And let's face it, in times of crisis, the pandemic is a perfect example. We're all in new territory. No one has all the answers. So it's important to display trust in your staff, particularly in challenging times. And remember that things will go wrong. Mistakes will be made. And it's important to accept that. 2020 hindsight is a great thing, but nobody has hindsight until after the event. So it's important to focus on recognizing the efforts that have been made rather than criticizing failures. Now, when I was thinking about this conference and resilience and times of crisis, I thought of airline staff and the training that they receive. And I actually pulled up one of the requirements of airline staff and the required skills that they have. We all think of them looking after us while everything's going okay. But what they're really trained in is reacting if things go wrong, reacting in times of crisis. So it's not surprising to see that the required skills of airline staff, here's just a few: communicate effectively with others when responding to abnormal and emergency situations, work collaboratively with others when responding to unexpected events, implement contingency plans for unexpected events that may arise, and monitor and anticipate operational problems and hazards and take appropriate action. And, you know, I think customs can probably learn a lot from the airline industry in terms of how we train our staff. It's not just all about the job that is currently at hand. It's being able to respond to things that are not as certain as they usually are. Ambiguity and uncertainty is what we are often faced with. So from an organizational point of view, it's about preparedness, agility and flexibility. And in terms of human capital, it's all about their ability and their confidence and authority to deal with ambiguity and uncertainty. Now, see, Mohammed asked me some best practices, and I've pulled up a few dot points that I'd like to share with you. It's often said that there needs to be a readiness to identify and respond to early warning signals of change in an organization's internal and external environment before they escalate into a major challenge or adverse event. But this is often unachievable. And that's why it's important for the administration to be flexible and agile, to be able to react and to respond promptly to crises and any unplanned events. There's a need, as we've already heard from Ricardo, for the need for strong leadership, and the key to successful leadership is influence, not authority. It's about trust and respect, and trust and respect must be earned. Let me tell you, it has nothing to do with the number of stripes on a person's shoulder or the size of their office. And there's obviously a need for good management and clear decision-making. And it's particularly important to empower employees to use their skills to solve problems. Let the managers manage, give them the appropriate authority to make decisions related to their work and to delegate authority. We often say that our people are the greatest asset, and in times of challenge and adversity, these are when we need to allow skilled employees to make decisions where their knowledge and experience can add significant value. It's also important to encourage employees to share both good and bad news about the organization. including any early warning signals about potential problems. And on a higher and more strategic level, there's a need to be a strong focus on ensuring critical information is always available within the organisation. And this is really through succession planning for key roles. It's all about retaining corporate memory. And I think it's fair to say that many administrations around the world have lost or are in danger of losing their corporate memory. That's what's going to save you in times of crisis. You'll find that staff are very willing and able to respond to such challenges. If you look around your organisation, you'll see a lot of very dedicated and loyal people who can and should be relied upon in times of crisis, regardless of what their position may be. They're proud to be a customs officer and they're proud of their organisation. They're the type of people who don't see themselves as, say, an accountant who happens to be a customs officer, but rather a customs officer who happens to be an accountant. And I really think that these are the people that you need to nurture. So I don't know whether that has answered your question, C. Mohammed, but that's what I have for you this evening.
Really, thank you very much, Professor Widdowson. It's give time to reflect on all what you said. It's really very relevant. Thank you so much, Professor. Building on the answers provided by all our speakers, I will move now to Mr. Sullivan, and I would like to join my voice to my top management in thanking SECO and thanking all donors who trust and commit to all WCO programs. And based now on the experience of SECO during this crisis, please, Mr. Sullivan, can you share with us, in your view, which the capacity building needs that have been emerged, and how SECO did address these emerging capacity building needs with the view to build organizational resilience in the beneficiaries' countries? And please, if you can describe one of your successful experience in building organizational resilience through human capital. I know that it's too much, but please, if you can share with us that your answer on that 3 questions, please.
Thank you for these questions, Sai Mohammed. It is really my pleasure and honor to be part of this excellent panel here today and speak to you all. I would like to thank the Secretariat for organizing this event and giving us as a donor the opportunity to exchange on such an important topic with all of you as well. My name is Sylvan Hungerbuehler. I represent the Swiss State Secretariat for Economic Affairs here today. We call ourselves SECO in short. And I would like to answer your question by drawing on our experience with the Global Trade Facilitation Program that you mentioned. This is one of our development programs dedicated to capacity building in partnering countries, which we implement together with our partners at the WCO. But before I speak about the Global Trade Facilitation Program and our experience in relation to it, I would like to first zoom out a little bit and provide some background on how SECO operates as a development agency. This is perhaps not evident to all, and some preliminary remarks might situate my later answer better. Against this background, I will then zoom in on our experience with the program in support of a series of partner customs organizations and their efforts to invest in people and ultimately their capacity for resilience. So what does SECO do? SECO is Swiss federal government center of expertise for core issues relating to economic policy. SECO's Division for Economic Development Cooperation operates as a development agency. That's where I'm based. And here the main objective of SECO is promoting economic growth and sustainable prosperity in our partnering developing countries. As part of this goal, one of the key areas of work is helping developing countries improve their access to world markets and enhance their participation in the global trading system. SECO, therefore, supports partner countries to apply international agreements efficiently to facilitate trade and to help create well-functioning institutions such as customs administrations. And ultimately, we want to build the capacity of the people making up these organizations. To do so, SECO works with international partner institutions in the space of trade, such as the WCO, UNCTAD, or the World Bank Group, to name only a few. Now, to come back and respond to the question what capacity building needs have emerged in this crisis and how we have tried to meet this need, let me circle back to the Global Trade Facilitation Program as one of our flagship programs to share with you some of the experiences and lessons we made throughout the pandemic. Well, the Global Trade Facilitation Program represents SECO joining forces with the World Customs Organization for the first time in 2018. And the SECO WCO program, it's a 4-year comprehensive capacity building program, which is designed to strengthen the organizational and technical capacities of beneficiary customs administrations, so that they in turn can successfully lead, plan, and implement sustainable and transparent customs reforms. Under this program, we currently work with 8 different customs administrations in partnering countries, currently in both Colombia, Peru, Bolivia, Uzbekistan, Serbia, the Ukraine, Guatemala, and Bangladesh. But more partner countries could join the program in the future. Now, the overall objective of this program is to encourage and facilitate international trade in the selected beneficiary countries. And we attempt to achieve this by supporting the customs administrations through developing the capacity of customs officials. In the process of conducting these capacity building activities in the mentioned beneficiary countries, SECO and our partners at the WCO, we have gained important knowledge over the pandemic. Of course, the year 2020 has been particularly challenging with the impact of COVID-19, a crisis which has provided us with important lessons and also new ways of thinking. And one of the key lessons is certainly the importance of resilience itself. We see this theme reflected through our whole portfolio as a development donor, but in particular in relation to the Global Trade Facilitation Program, now more than ever, we see a real need for customs administrations to act strategically and proactively to increase resilience. The pandemic has shown that achieving government objectives and responding to the needs of citizens and businesses alike becomes even more challenging when crisis hits. Countries should thus explore new ways of thinking and work jointly with stakeholders in the private sector and on increasing this particular capacity in the future. In addition, more from the perspective of a donor, we have learned that capacity building efforts must remain very responsive and needs-driven in order to ensure that beneficiary customs administrations obtain the support they need. Assistance should be flexible to allow support activities to be adapted to both the current circumstances and available resources in a given context. The current crisis has reiterated the importance of international cooperation in our view. International organizations and donors are and will continue to be instrumental in bringing stakeholders together to achieve common goals. Now, in terms of what SECO has done in response to the recent challenges, the Global Trade Facilitation Program has developed an action plan, both to minimize the impact of the situation in the program itself and to ensure the continuity of the work we previously planned with the beneficiary countries. Such documents establish the grounds to prioritize the technical assistance activities in line with the IT tools available in customs administrations. And in some cases, the program had even built new methodologies for implementation in these special times. Assistance has thus continued remotely and virtually until in-country missions can resume. And these methodologies are continuously updated and improved, taking into considerations the lessons learned along the way and the absorption capacity of the countries we work with. SECO and the program team have been in constant communication with beneficiaries and stakeholders, and building resilience for the future also means collaborating and maintaining stakeholders' cooperation in order to share experiences and gradually shift the mindsets towards a more and perhaps truly digital environment. In fact, we are funding regional support activities such as this conference today to exchange experiences and lessons learned on building organizational resilience through people. Working remotely under the present circumstances has meant adapting to a new environment, facing stress, anxiety, and an unprecedented fusion of work and private life. The Global Trade Facilitation Program team has developed the COVID-19 work plan, whose objective is to cope with the impact of the pandemic while securing business continuity in customs administrations. Under this work plan, specific and tailor-made workshops on building resilience and managing stress have been arranged for managers and technical officials in beneficiary countries. Women have been particularly affected by the pandemic and are in a more vulnerable position in cross-border trade in general. Therefore, the program has prominently included this particular topic in our planning, encouraging beneficiary countries to adopt measures to strengthen gender equality and diversity in their particular administrations. To resume, through the Global Trade Facilitation Program, we can continue to support beneficiary customs administrations in terms of human capital development. We believe that customs human resource strategies are key. For us, this means focusing on the key role of human resource development in management and well-being of employees, in strengthening leadership and management skills of top and middle managers, and improving existing strategic plans and policies in order to better respond to the needs of customs administrations going forward. With this, I close, and I want to wish you all a very good conference. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, sir, and good luck for all what your great initiative, and looking forward to reinforce our partnership with you and with your organization. I will come back now to Deputy Secretary General and also Director General and Vice Chair, Mr. Werner. Looking back at your experience with this crisis and as a leader, what more could you have done to further support your team to ensure organizational resilience and efficiency? We can say that Secretary General in his speech, he focused not only on resilience, but we have to think more also in effectiveness. Please, if you can share with us what is this, what can be done more to support your team for more resilience and effectiveness, please. Please, in 2 minutes, that can be much appreciated. From I know that it's a huge question, but if we can have an answer from you, Deputy Secretary General, and also DG of Mr. Werner, please.
Of course. Thanks, Si Mohammed. Well, I think the world was not prepared for this pandemic, of course. So we were all caught off guard, I might say. So I think some of the lessons learned are definitely to be prepared and to be ready for these multiple scenarios that we might face in the future. So I would say maybe this would be something that we could work forward, we could work ahead. Of course, this is something that all of us, I think, would have wished to be readier and even much more prepared. I believe at the end that the WCO and customs reacted quite well, and I think that overall our stakeholders have acknowledged this, and I think there were positive results. But of course, as a lesson learned, as I repeat, we could work on ways of being much more prepared, readier for possible future crisis and such pandemics as this one. And of course, focusing on effectiveness, on efficiency is something that will always allow us this agility and this creativity to face these challenges. Again, I'm going to keep it brief. Again, thanks a lot, and congratulations on this organization, and happy to see the high level of participation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, please, Mr. Werner, if you can share with us what are your lessons learned.
Claro que sí. En lo personal quiero.
Yes, of course. Well, basically, I'd like to center my answer on the national situation and the regional situation as well. As regards my customs point of view, well, personally, I would have liked to have been a lot more prepared as requires digital technologies. If I had these capacities to use platforms for meetings, archives, files, shared files, cloud systems, that would have facilitated the abrupt change that we had to go through with the pandemic. I also would have liked to have our projects more advanced in the modernization program of our customs that we've been managing since 2019, because this would have enabled us to improve our functioning in all different processes, notification, signatures, electronic files, so that we would have been much more available to our users, and they would have had many more functionalities through social networks or thanks to the use of the different electronic systems, online systems. And this would have enabled us to do away with physical presence, to do away with paper documents. But I have to say that all in all, I am very satisfied with all the actions we undertook. In our working team, we managed to fulfill the operational plans we had, but the teams had to evolve and to learn to work from home with virtual meetings without being able to manage change. Now, obviously, because we were not initially prepared for this, and so we have to undertake actions from one day to the next. A lot of our staff had to be under quarantine with restrictions. They had to stay home. Several staff members who were positive for COVID. And so I think that's why it's absolutely essential to point out that the achievements we carried out were recognized on the day of on Customs Day, where we had the participation of many customs directors and of the Secretary General. I think that one important thing we need to consider is that many administrations in our modernization programs, they leave human resources outside. For Guatemala, the process for the modernization of our customs, that is one of the 5 components that form part, because human resource is extremely important. It's fundamental in all of these efforts to modernize customs, because customs officials, as we progress in modernization activities, are exposed to changes in the processes they're in charge of. So they have to learn to use new tools, move away from what they've been doing for many years. So they have to be ready for change. They have to be ready for situations such as a pandemic or other situations that were not foreseen. At a regional level, here I need to say that Guatemala has the regional vice presidency of the WCO during the pandemic. And this has been quite a challenge. I think that it's a perfect example of how we can use resilience in order to overcome adversities and to come out strengthened. For example, I've referred to the fact that I've been occupying this post 5 years. During 5 years, I participated in all WCO meetings, and the few times that I had the possibility of sharing opinions with other directors from customs of our region was during the council in June in Brussels, or during the directors meeting in Latin America, Caribbean. Well, surprisingly enough, and here I'm sharing part of the results that we achieved in the last summit of customs directors, from June to April of this year, we had more than 30 years, more than 8 regional events where there was participation from different customs administrations, more than 120 technical meetings. So really what we've done is that we've made good use of a pandemic. We've made use of a crisis created by COVID, but this has united us much more as directors of customs of the Latin America Caribbean region. And we've managed to use all the technological instruments that were available. We've managed to achieve a higher level of cooperation. We've received much more help from the World Customs Organization. And that is where I can give you a clear example of how you can use resilience instead of just stopping and doing nothing in a crisis, and how we can use a crisis to make the best of it and come out strengthened. So today, I think that it's a clear show of this. We have more than 500 participants. Before, we used to have presential activities, and there were less participation. Perhaps some countries, because of budget cuts, etc., logistic problems, they weren't able to participate. So I think that this is a moment where we need to use all the lessons that we've learned. And I have to say that human resources is more important, the most important component for customs. And again, congratulations for the World Customs Organization. This has to be a strategic axis, transversal axis that we need to be working on all the time. So you have the commitment from the regional vice presidency to continue to support this type of initiatives in order to continue strengthening capacities in our region. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. I still have 2 minutes, and I will be very happy to have the final word from our Secretary General, and thanks for honoring us in this panel discussion. Please, Secretary General, Dr. Mikuria, if you can, if I can ask you only the question, what are the key recommendations to all our participants that are following us, and also to the international customs community in focusing on people? What do you think, which message you can send to them, please, Secretary General?
Thank you very much. It is very clear from this excellent panel that human resources is really the key to customs operations, and that human resources, meaning that from the leadership to really agile customs officers. So it encompasses all the staff in customs. So we have to be proud of our biggest asset, that is human resources. That is what I would like to summarize this excellent panel session. Thank you.
Thank you very much to all of you. It's really insightful, all what you shared with us, and it's giving us also time to reflect on that and to move forward. And now, only to move to the next session, I will pass the floor now to my colleague Nadia Golan to moderate the next session. Thanks to all of you for your support and all for what you are doing to the customs international community, but also for all what they are doing for the society. Thank you very much, and looking forward to collaborate with you in other events. Thank you so much.
Gracias, Mohammed. Buenos días, buenas tardes y buenas noches.
Thank you, Mohammed. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It is a true pleasure for me to be here to moderate this panel, strengthen the leadership, people-centered based leadership culture. I would like to now invite Marilu Llerena, Deputy National Superintendent of Customs Administrations from Peru. She has experience in external trade and customs and trade facilitation. She has been working for more than 20 years in the SUNAT, the Revenue Collection Authority of Peru, and has been appointed in 2015 as one of the main public officials in Peru. Rita Hubert is Deputy Director of Workforce Resiliency and Engagement Division of the Department of Homeland Security, Customs and Border Protection. She implements, administers, and assesses the different programs and initiatives aimed at the well-being of its staff. She has a degree in communications and public administration. Throughout her career, she has been working in professional development and human resources, amongst others. And last but not least, we have Mr. Luis Andres Rivadeneira, Director of Human Growth, Ecuador. He is an economist and has a master's degree in human resource management and marketing. He also has an advanced insights as link chain agent and has also implemented different workshops in capacity building and leadership skills, different projects of cultural transformation, organization consultancy, amongst others. Our three panelists will work consecutively, and after they've made their presentations, we will open the floor for questions. Please make sure that you put your questions on the chat box. Marilu, please start with your presentation. Thank you. Thank you, Nadia. I will be sharing my screen with all of you.
Ahí, por favor, me confirma si ya se está viendo la pantalla.
Do you see my screen? Yes, we do. Fantastic. First and foremost, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. Thank you to the WCO Secretariat, to Mr. Juni Micarilla, to Mr. Ricardo Trevino, and to Mr. Werner Ovalle, and also to the whole WCO support program for their help and for organizing this workshop. I'm here today to talk about this important subject, which is strengthening customs resilience through human capital. I work in SUNAT. We are the Treasury from Peru and the Revenue Collection Authority of the country. We must prevent and control any illicit trade flow, as well as control any illicit activity. We also are in charge of revenue collection in my country, up to 66.2% of our national budget. To that end, we have more than 11,000 workers, out of which 3,000 work in customs. In Peru, the state of emergency was declared on the 15th of March of 2020. This date will never be forgotten by any of us. We had to face, from that moment on, different challenges as any other customs administrations to ensure operational continuity, to ensure that we were in constant communication with our stakeholders, and to accelerate the digital transformation. After all, paper documents entail a physical presence in our premises. Our leadership was facing the biggest management challenge that any of us had ever faced. We were doing it in a context that nobody had been able to foretell. So we were little by little building up our resilience, a resilience that is being addressed right now. So how have we done this process? This issue was not sufficiently stressed before the pandemic. Now, we find ourselves having to develop this resilience to strengthen our skills and capabilities. So we used the 7 C's model by John Quelch, the Dean of the Miami Herbert Business Schools. He points out 2 different key skills that we have been developing throughout the pandemic. Number 1, calm. Our workers and stakeholders need leaders to provide peace of mind in the midst of a crisis. We need to manage our own emotions. We need to be courageous to overcome this crisis. And this was not always easy. Every single manager, every single one of us had to deal with this issue. As managers, we had to implement effective measures so that people could be certain that they were going in the right direction. We also needed to implement new working arrangements. That meant making use of technologies. We started using telework. Up to 71% of our staff was teleworking. We also had to train our staff to ensure that no one in our ranks was developing COVID, and ensure that we made the best use possible of the available resources. Leaders must ensure their staff and stakeholders that we will be able to weather the storm. However, trust cannot be taken for granted. This confidence also revolves around prevention plans. It also entails different implementation of diagnosis tests. It also means a social alert, a 24/7 assistance system by social workers. We have also received numerous comments by different people. They said that even if we didn't know that the pandemic was coming, customs seemed to be well prepared. Communication. Communication, communication, communication. We must communicate constantly because silence also generates fears. So we must do this at every possible level. We must ensure that we communicate our priorities and our objectives. We have new communication channels, such as this one, for instance, that we're all listening to today. We are able to reach a broader audience, not only to share our decisions, also to listen, to pay a listening ear, to ask one another, how can I help you? And that's what we're doing. We are listening to our frontline, for they are the ones who are facing the greatest challenges. Collaboration. No one knows everything. None of us has all the answers. So we need help. We will need help. And therefore, we must ensure that we foster a climate where people can share their ideas. We must empower our managers at every single administrative level to foster this cooperation and to disseminate these key messages, to share innovative ideas. In Peru, we created a specific system with distance control. So we have someone teleworking, supporting our agents on the field. Yesterday, for instance, one of my collaborators was thanking us for having taken up this idea, which was brought forward by them on remote control and support. Community. Leaders strengthen and promote both solidarity and the sense of belonging. This is key. This crisis will also, in turn, strengthen our feeling of belonging both within and beyond our organizations. We must be proud in serving our country. This also goes for the customs community as a whole. The last meeting we had with the private sector, we approved one single motto. Customs is all of us. So we must lead by the example. We must motivate our teams so they know that we will overcome if we work together. Compassion. Leaderships must be compassionate. We must prove that we can be empathic. Empathy is a must. Not everyone has developed their resilience skills. Some of them are still full of fear. Empathy is key in this time of crisis. Sunat created a specific dedicated hotline called Allo Clima. Here, dedicated psychologists provided support up to 7 to our staff. And last but not least, cash. Leaders must ensure not only that their staff is calm, but also that there is a constant cash flow. This ensures stability. Sunat has ensured this. We are right now in the midst of the implementation of a 100% online revenue collection system. We need to have, for instance, the adequate insurance coverage. For instance, they cover up to 100% of the hospital expenses of Sunat. We also have special credit lines through the staff fund of Sunat with a 0 rate of interest. This people-centered approach will ensure that we meet our goals. And everything will have a direct impact. After all, we are a public service, so we cannot afford to stop providing these basic services. We have kept actually our objectives, reducing our times. We created a survey and see how much the identity, the feeling of identity has grown in 2020. 90% on identity, 84% on teamwork. This, of course, could also entail creating and implementing new initiatives. I love this picture, which is why I have included it. We took it right at the beginning of the pandemic. There was, as you can see, not much of physical distancing back in the day. But it comes to show that teamwork was key, even back then. This is what leadership, people-centered leadership means. Talking, generating that confidence, that trust in your organization through empowered leadership. We need to strengthen this sense of belonging within our organization. This will benefit both customs and the stakeholders. So, as has already been said, even in the midst of a difficult situation, there are opportunities to be found. Well, let us then deepen our working culture within our organizations, fostering resilience and innovation. Thank you very much.
Gracias a usted, señora Llerena, por compartir con nosotros un poco de lo que ha
Thank you, Ms. Llerena, for sharing with us what Sunat has been doing in the last year. I would like now to give the floor to Ms. Hubbard, so she will make her presentation. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. And I'm so sorry that it took me so long to get queued up. But good morning to everyone. It is my great pleasure to be with you today. And we want to get started by thanking so much the WCO for recognizing and bringing us together to talk about this most important topic of organizational resilience. And let me say that for us, that means human resilience. I also want to thank the WCO for working to support its members, especially in the Americas and the Caribbean, and this area of human resources management. So thank you very much this morning. I'd also like to give a quick thank you to our good friend and partner, Ms. Nadia Gulian, for moderating this important panel today. So thank you, Nadia. I am very honored to be here presenting alongside my esteemed panelists. As we just heard from Ms. Lorena, not only does she have a deep and long-standing relationship with WCO, but she has also done tremendous work encouraging diversity and gender equity in her administration. And that was very inspiring and very important for us to hear. So thank you, ma'am. Your passion for your employees does show through. Also, I'm looking forward to hearing from our next panelist in a few minutes, Mr. Radhi Banaria, a renowned national expert in the field of human resources and organizational development, not only in government, but also in private industry as well. So I'll be taking good notes when we get to your presentation. And thank you both. I'm honored to be speaking with you today. Now, let me get started just a bit and talk a bit about how we think about workforce and employee resilience at U.S. Customs and Border Protection. I think the last year has taught us that if you prepare for everything, you can respond to just about anything, but none of us could have anticipated what we experienced over the last year with the international pandemic that we've been experiencing. I think that no matter how well we think we prepare our employees, there's always more that we need to do. So it is with that eye that U.S. Customs and Border Protection looks at resilience as a core issue within our organization. Within our division, the Workforce, Resilience, and Engagement Division, and I slowed down for each of those words because each of those words has an individual significance in terms of what we do and what we provide to our employee workforce. Workforce support, workforce resilience, and workforce engagement. What we focus on is resilience and support for our employees and their families. But even at the agency level, from the top down, employee resilience remains and has been one of our core issues. It is very important, and it does really speak through to everything that we do. We make it a priority. We look at our employees and their families, and in every stage of our employee life cycle, we focus on workforce resilience, support, and engagement. We push health-seeking behaviors constantly for our employees, and we work to establish an agency-wide culture, again, from leadership, from our national focus, and from the top down, that reinforces the importance and the urgency of each employee being given the space and time to prioritize their mental, emotional, and physical health and well-being. It's foundational within our agency. It is at the base and the root of everything we do and provide for employees. You know, what's interesting is this sense of urgency really helped us during the last year as we adapted and responded to providing those services to our employees and their families. One of our main drivers within CBP for resilience and our resilience strategy, sadly, has been employee death by suicide. And we could have a totally different discussion and a full panel on that as an issue in our workforce. And I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But before I get to that, let me just say that creating a culture of resilience from the start involves a broad focus, including health and wellness, total health and wellness, but much, much more. So CBP as an agency has 63,000 employees. And then that expands to the family and those that support the employees of CBP. Our employees serve and work from every state in the United States and from international locations as well. Our employees come from different backgrounds, different histories, and different cultures. So that creates the dilemma of multiple cultures within one organization. We have a huge diversity of mission as well, safeguarding the nation, enhancing economic prosperity, preventing illegal trade, allowing legal trade and supporting trade and travel, and then that facilitating the lawful travel within the United States. That is just a sprinkling of our diversified mission. That mission is carried out by the employees, the officers, the agents, our air and marine support staff, our trade and travel folks, our agricultural specialists, our import specialists, a wide diversity of employees with different educational backgrounds, different missions throughout our organization. And in big cities, in very remote areas, you know, just complete diversity of not only mission, but locations and statuses as well. And that poses quite a challenge, but we really do focus on the underlying understanding that out of many, we become one with single purpose and a single focus on protecting the nation's homeland. So how do we do that? What do we do to instill that single unified culture in the workforce? And we really do believe that that starts with recruitment and hiring. We talk a bit about, and I'll go back to the previous slide because we do kind of look at the employee cycle from the time they step in with the recruitment, bringing them on board, focusing on professional development, managing performance so that we know that as they stay and grow with us, they are being groomed and developed within their career. We focus on retention. We believe that we recruit the employee, we retain the family, so that it is unified. It looks at the full level of their ability to grow within our organization. And then we focus on their retirement and separation from the organization. And that focus is within the life cycle and the lifespan of employees. It starts with, you know, who we bring in and the pre-employment status, the rigorous pre-employment standards, polygraph examinations to make sure that our employees are of good fundamental character, financial disclosure to make sure that they are honest and true and meet their obligations within their communities. We do focus on integrity and ethics, to make sure that the baseline of who we have within our employment is fundamentally supportive of the mission that we serve. And then we look at the day-to-day challenges that they face. And when we talk about the employees and the character, we understand that life happens. And as they work for us, they also have commitments to community and family. So we try to be sensitive and aware of that as we prepare them and prepare for the work responsibilities that present themselves. So what we've done is we are proud and we encourage our employees to be proud too. It's part of creating the kind of culture that helps our employees consistently make the right decisions in their interactions with the public and in their service to our country. Further, we strive to be transparent and fair in our human resource management practices. We are clear about our expectations and about which decisions or behaviors our employees are asked to exhibit and which behaviors lead to promotion and which decisions lead to discipline. We try not to focus so much on the discipline, but we want employees to know that there are consequences within the actions that they perform. And that has been significantly important within the last year and within the challenges that we face together as an organization. So not only do we want that to be recognized, but we also want employees to know that resources, support, information, and services are available to help throughout any balance that they may have in terms of focusing on their ability to be present at work, their ability to withstand, adapt, and overcome to any of life's challenges, which is our fundamental definition of resilience. So what we do, we do have a program that focuses on career development. That focuses on career development. Our resilience efforts really do come into play there. And one of the things that we have focused on and has been really is the negative impression of law enforcement within our society, and especially within the last year in the United States. So we really do want to focus and help our employees focus on balancing all of the challenges that they face on a daily basis. So to ensure that employees keep reaching, we need to strengthen the foundation upon which they stand. That means taking care of them and their families. So now let's talk a little bit about the programs that we have. So in 2016, 2017, and 2018, and this number is shocking by the way that it's presented. In each of those years, we lost 10 employees to death by suicide. In 2019, we lost 9. In 2020, we lost 8. And so far in 2021, we've lost 5 employees to death by suicide. And I share these numbers because much of our foundational concept on resilience is based on the recognition that our employees face many, many stressors. They include work-related stress, relationship problems, family issues, financial issues. And then in 2017, we did an organizational assessment, which showed some of the more day-to-day human challenges that they face. Employees identified affordable, reliable childcare as their primary stressor. When you consider the fact that we are a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week 365-day operation with many unexpected challenges that present themselves in the workplace. Employees supporting family needs, childcare was one of the primary issues that we faced. Staying healthy, staying well, eating well, sleeping well, or getting appropriate rest is also a challenge. So many of the programs that we focus on meet the needs as expressed by employees of the things that they face to really help them navigate the challenges that they face. And this has been critically important during the pandemic as well, with the isolation that employees have experienced, with our frontline officers having to be present at their workstations every day, with the protective equipment, with a focus on safety and health and wellness. But the uncertainty of this global pandemic, employees really felt the stress of that. We really have kind of modified the services available and the way they're being delivered. We focused a lot on our employee assistance program. We, again, have what we consider best in class, which offers 12 free sessions to employees and their families for each presenting issue. We have every family member in their household can have access to those services, because by supporting the family members, we do know that we're supporting the employees in their day-to-day challenges as well. Our employee assistance program recently added health and wellness coaching, which again uses the model of giving employees individual one-on-one opportunities to work with certified health coaches to handle issues like smoking cessation, weight management, other healthy issues that they can get the one-on-one assistance that they need, focusing on how to get good and restful sleep to prepare them for the day-to-day challenges that they experience. We have taken care of access to financial services by giving them support with a certified financial planner, so that they can work out individual issues, not necessarily in a group session, but in private one-on-one sessions. We heard them, and our family care program, as I mentioned, childcare issues seem to be one of their primary stressors. So not only do we have a childcare subsidy program, but we have emergency backup care, which gives them immediate support and services if they are caught with overtime, or if there are emergency situations that prevent their support services from being in place. We make all of these services available through a very public-facing website. Employees often ask and tell us that the challenge is knowing what's available, knowing how to get those services. So during the pandemic, we spent a lot of time making sure that those services were available electronically, that employees knew where to go and how to access those services, that their supervisors and managers were made aware of where those services could be located so that they could share them with their employees as they face those challenges. So we really have done what we consider a robust job at presenting those services. But to be honest, that still continues to be a challenge, communicating with employees. And as Ms. Lorena emphasized in her cycle of the 7 C's, we know that communication is critically important. And it does continue to be one of the areas that we dedicate a lot of focus to in how we present. We have what we consider also for employee support and services, that peer-to-peer support. So peer support members. We have a chaplain program, and we have a veteran support program. Over 30% of CBP's employees are from a military veterans background. So we feel that by having a veteran support program, we're able to connect them more effectively within resources that they have within CBP and also the federal government, and also connected to their military background as well. So we really do make an effort to meet employees where they are so that we can help them meet the needs that present throughout their career life cycle with CBP. Finally, I want to talk about the physical fitness program and the very demanding recognition that we have of the day-to-day physical requirements of the position. We do pre-employment physical, and we make sure that employees are physically fit when they join us. And we focus on health and wellness throughout their career life cycle. But we as an agency have gone a step further, and we have an agency-wide physical fitness program, which allows employees on duty time on a weekly basis to really focus on health and fitness. And we do know that it is an important element to make sure that employees stay healthy and well. As you can tell, I love these services. I love these programs. I could talk about them forever, but I want to be sensitive to the timeframes that have been outlined. I just want to tell you that we do not have a magic bullet. We know that our work continues, and resilience is a critical and key issue in terms of providing support and services to our employees. So thank you very much for the opportunity to present today. Thank you.
Gracias, Rita, por mostrarnos con tu presentación cómo luce en la práctica una administración que se preocupa
Rita. Thank you for
por,
showing us
por sus
how
colaboradores y que está
a
cerca de ellos.
administration and agency
Le
looks
doy ahora la
that
palabra
an
al
agency
señor
that's worrying
Rivadeneira para
about
que
their
continúe con su
workers
presentación.
and their colleagues' works. Thank you so much for presenting this for us. I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Rivadeneira. Hello, I would like to first confirm whether you can see my screen. I hope you can. Well, first of all, I would like to thank you for having sent out the invitation to Secretary General, also to Deputy Secretary General Mohammed, Nadia, and also the panelists for today and tomorrow, all the participants present here today. I would like to talk to you in these minutes. Having listened to the other panelists, I would like to talk about something that is extremely important. And as a director from a consultancy agency in Ecuador, we have worked on many diagnostic tools to see the working environment, working culture, and specifically during the pandemic, several multinationals on the services or that work on services tried to work on cultural transformation. And this is something that was surprising because many could have said the opposite. Okay, we're stepping on the brake and we're not doing anything else, but they did the contrary to that. This is a backwards looking thing to do if it were like that. And some companies do that. They close down and everything that is related to resources, both economic and non-economic resources for people, well, they stop spending on that. But many companies, many businesses understood that they needed to give all their help and all their support to people before everything else, because it is people that are at the center of these companies and businesses. They are going to make these organizations thrive. In worrying about people, they were able to have their organization, their institution thrive in a crisis setting. So I would like to start saying the following. Well, maybe after these sessions today, when we go back to work, let's dedicate half a minute to look at the people we work with, look them in the eye, and just before talking to them, we can ask this question internally to ourselves. Am I aware of the fact that this person is a unique person that is open to communication. After these conferences, I would like each and every one of you to dedicate half a minute to ask yourself or yourselves these questions. And this relationship with the other colleague is going to be different because we have listened to some of the experiences that have been put forward here today. We're talking about resilience. And how can we be resilient? Because sometimes we need to recognize that in our daily life, well, we are faced with many challenges. And even taking into account our goodwill, we can sometimes forget the person behind the colleague because we're not only managing talent. Talent is one thing, but this person with more or less talent, well, is a person. And we need to work from the viewpoint of that person's dignity. If we are talking about this person, we need to be passionate for this person. If we don't understand that these people are at the center of our work, we are not going to get that resilience that we need nowadays. It is clear that nowadays the key for all our work is not centered around products or quality or processes even, or other elements and productive systems. No, these are things of the past. Nowadays, talent lies in people. It is people who provide that talent. Organizations have a lot to say in creating a more humane world because we are leading people. We have people. We are leaders too. I would like to make a comparison. It is like an opera conductor. In our mind, if we see an opera conductor, well, he or she is not playing an instrument. They are directing the orchestra, conducting the orchestra. The talent is in front of this person. They are playing the violins, the percussion sets, or the horns. But these people, with all of their talent, after some months of getting together and playing together and seeing how passionate these people are for music, they can get the best out of each and every one of these musicians. And that's our work. We need to be opera conductors. Nowadays, we need to see ourselves in a situation where we are living to be conductors. This is a very complex world. This is this VUCA world, VUCA. We are facing this very ambiguous world. We have volatility, and to face volatility, we need to have a vision. To face uncertainty, we need to have an understanding of what it is that is going on. Faced with complexity, we need to be more clear. We need to work with clarity. And faced with ambiguity, we need to be more agile. We need to have those answers to face those challenges and be nimble and quick. Three elements are key: communication, clear and continuous communication, the connection with the team, and results management. Clear communication. The leader needs to enable clear, honest, and transparent communication channels. People have these different jobs due to the trust that has been placed in them. So they need to be able to have these communication channels with all of the employees. We need They need to be frank and they need to listen, and they need to listen with empathy, something that is very important, a very important asset is to be assertive. The team is flexible, the team is adaptive in the face of possible obstacles. So a leader communicates needs, ideas, and ways of seeing the world, our perspective, our ways of working, but we need to do it respectfully. We need to have feedback that tells colleagues how they can improve. Connection with the team. This is key. The leader needs to connect with the needs of the members of the leader's team. They need to understand what they need. They need to understand what they are feeling. This is why the leader needs to practice personalized leadership. Each and every person in the team is an individual and they need to communicate. This will allow a synchronized way of working. I was talking about empathy. Sometimes it's not easy. We speak of empathy a lot, but it's not easy. To be an empathetic person, we need to have a perspective and see the other person's perspective. We need to connect with the other person's emotion, but we need to communicate with our words, but also with the way we move. This is going to help people understand each other better, taking into account their strengths and weaknesses. We have been working from our consultancy to see what the strengths and weaknesses are, what our way of working is, what is their purpose in life. It is very important not only to know their abilities, but also their way of feeling, how they feel. I'm going to give you an example. Well, this was the star locker room who learned to play as a team. Phil Jansen was recognized as a leader because he used this offensive triangle and he stimulated that team with creativity. He helped them understand that there was no I in team. They needed to communicate with their heart. And this would help them listen to each other. And that way they would get better results. Basketball is a complex dance that requires changing from one goal to another at the speed of light. You're working here, then you need to go there. There's a crisis here. There's a challenge here, a challenge there. And to shine, you need to act with a clear mind, fully focused on what everyone is doing on the court. Result management is also very important because people working with us also need to feel like their work is a challenge to them because, well, they need to see that what they are doing is a challenge, and the leader needs to be seeing what the team's performance is, but that's why they need to have measurable results. Accountability is a very important term for total responsibility, so they are proactive in achieving results. So they get results and they don't give excuses. They need to own their work. I wanted to bring to you three important elements for leadership centered around people: clear and continuous communication, a connection with the team, and results management, which is key to get to resilience and to face situations of crisis like the pandemic. Maybe we can give you some best practices. Lead each generation from their strengths. We need to remember we have teams where we have different generations. We have millennials, centennials, we have people belonging to different age groups. And we need to lead from their strengths. We need to understand them, therefore. If we speak about resilience, we need to know what the strengths of the team are and also what my own strengths are. We need to strive to understand the motivations of each and every person. And they need to know where they can improve so that they can want to improve those points that can help them reach better results and a better organizational result. Thank you so much. I hope that everything I put forward here today kind of summed up the previous presentations, and it can be something that helps us improve our organizations.
Hacernos reflexionar sobre
Thank you so much. And also thank you for making us think about how important it is to look at all of our colleagues as individuals, unique people that also merit our attention. I have a question for any of you. What element, what new element has surprised you about leadership from the customs point of view during these crisis management?
Nadia. Sí, bueno, yo quiero comentarles
Ms.
que
Yerena? Yes, well, I would like to state the following. Well, from a customs point of view, one important challenge was to communicate and generate empathy, communicate from the heart, and to be able to connect with people. I think that since we all need to be together, or ideally we would all be together, but this has also been an opportunity to communicate also with technology, through technology. And I think I have been able to get a feeling about what people are feeling when we're communicating through technology. This was new to me. This communicating through technology was new to me, although it's difficult to look at a camera with empathy. As Luis Andres was saying, let's try to listen from the heart, listening 70% of the time and speaking 30% of the time, and also from leadership, keeping that strategic vision that we need to have because we are leading in different agencies in our countries, and people are at the forefront. Let's talk to people. Let's have time to speak with a transversal dialogue without hierarchy. This is something I would like to add here. Mr. Rivadeneira, would you like to say anything? Or maybe Rita? Well, yes, one of the issue as a consultancy firm, in the different meetings we have had with management of different companies and institutions, has been that this virtual world has forced us to be creative. And something that happened in this time, well, sometimes they even had to pick up the phone and call the people reporting to him or her and ask how they were doing, how their family were doing. And sometimes these questions were not being asked in person. We just got to work and did our work from 9 to 5 and then went home. And the pandemic has forced us to worry about our colleagues, pick up the phone and dedicate 3 minutes, 5 minutes to asking, how are you doing? Did you eat lunch? When will you be stopping for lunch? And we also need to think about all of this. Previously, or when this started, it was everything kind of piled up. We were just trying to do the same thing we were doing before, but through a camera. And after a couple of days, this was completely stressful for us. With the kids having virtual schooling at home. The Wi-Fi crashed because everybody was using the network at the same time. So this was hard. And then you had to go get lunch, prepare lunch for the whole family, things that we weren't doing in our everyday life previously. And this made us get more empathy, be more empathetic, because we don't need brilliant leaders with a wonderful intellectual capacity. Well, yes, it's great to have this, but we need empathy. We need to have the ability of connecting with emotions and with the circumstances our colleagues are going through. This is my takeaway message from today. We need to work on being a more empathetic leader.
Muchísimas gracias, Rita.
I think for us, the message was the importance of being present. And we all thought that to be present, you had to be face to face, you had to be shoulder to shoulder. But the pandemic has shown us that with the technology and with intent to stay connected, you really did have the opportunity to think outside of the box, to look for different ways of staying in touch, to actually listen to what your employees were saying, to ask them, how are you doing? But then really pay attention to the response. We, as I said, one of our biggest challenges is communication, and we were able to leverage technology to look for ways to push messages and information and resources that we had previously done, kind of person to person, but now we were able to have a broader reach to stay in touch with employees and their families by using some of the new tools, techniques, and platforms that were made available to us. And just really stepping back and focusing on the importance of offering opportunities to stay connected, to continue the training and resources and information that we were making available, but doing so with the new technology that was presenting itself. Upgrading our internet information, our web platform was changed. We went to producing information through mobile applications. We use Tweet and Twitter and some of the technology that is now available to some of the younger generation. But so just really communicating with intent.
Muchísimas gracias, Rita, y gracias a
Thank you
los
very
tres.
much, Rita, and thank you very much to all three of you for sharing with us your experience and your time. The truth is that time flies. So I'd like to continue with session number 3. But first, I do invite all participants to send in your questions through the chat, and our panel members can also answer using the chat as well. And as I was saying, now we're going to turn to the next session, strengthen agility and flexibility through new innovative working designs. Moderator Christina Bell from the United States, mission to the European Union and Belgium. So go ahead, Christina, you have the floor.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? See me? Great.
Yes, we can hear you.
Wonderful. I have the pleasure of being the moderator for the last session of the day. So we're going to make it very interesting and very fun, very interesting and engaging topics for everybody to learn about. So this has been an amazing first couple of hours, and we're able to focus a lot on the leadership and the compassion and the empathy and the people. And for this last panel, we're going to focus a bit more on some of the physical changes that we are pursuing and these concepts to enable people to be ready for this new world of work as we recover from this pandemic. So I'll just offer you this one anecdote. Before the pandemic, my agency, Customs and Border Protection, both in the sort of the office environment as well as in the operational environment, have been contemplating and pursuing a number of reforms with respect to how we work. Is there a smarter way? Can we use less space at the office? Can we have hoteling? We check in, we check out, we sit closer to people. At the border, do we need these big booths? Maybe we could have officers more mobile. But gosh, COVID hit us, and here we are. We have extra considerations because now we kind of want to have more space that divides us a bit. So I'm very happy that we can have this conversation here today. I'm going to start. I have 3 excellent panelists. I would encourage you to look at their wonderful biographies and the materials for the event. But I'm going to start with my colleague, Raju Bodhi. He is a comptroller of customs from Antigua and Barbuda. And sir, I would like to turn it over to you. And also, please, just as my last moderator mentioned, please ask questions in the chat. That will help a lot, and we'll be able to efficiently carry out the rest of the activity today. So thank you, and over to Raju, please.
Thank you, Christina. Pleasure to be with you all this morning. Thanks to WCO and also the regional vice chair, and also the moderator Muhammad for having considered me to be one of the panelists in this very important discussion. I'm going to be very, very brief, and because what actually we have been hearing in the morning is that it's all about the theory and what should be done, what should not be done. Because you see, for any unforeseen problem, you don't have any fixed solution. It really varies from situation to situation. We are a kind of a tiny nation stuck in the Eastern Caribbean seaboard, where we are always exposed to the vagaries of nature. We have hurricanes, and we have off and on the earthquake scares. We have volcanic eruptions in the region. So we are normally, are prepared, and we have plans to how to organize ourselves. But at the same time, this pandemic has hit us in a different way. It is something concerned with the people now, right? And the people are required to carry out any business, be level on customs. Any business if you want to make, if you don't have the important resource, that is human resource, we will not be able to really function. Therefore, the utmost importance in any organization is the well-being or wellness of the human resource. Now, the panel discussion is building agility and flexibility. Sorry, let me go to that. Building agility and flexibility through innovative work design. That is the headline. That's the caption that is given for this panel discussion. Therefore, let us understand what is it. What do you mean by agility in this? Especially, I'm talking in the context of the COVID times. Agility is the ability of an organization to move quickly and easily. Okay? It's not just changing the work process. It's not redesigning or changing the workplace. It's a whole lot of new experience in delivering the intended results. Okay, therefore, it is imperative that we have to take 3 components into consideration. These 3 elements are the people, and the place where the people were and the technology. Going by that, now workplace flexibility is about bringing all these three elements into an integrated structure, and also to decide how and when and what we will to deliver during these times. What are the objectives? What is the kind of service we are going to deliver? If while delivering the service, what are the underlying objectives we really have to basically based upon? Therefore, this approach is more critical in uncertainties like natural disaster and pandemics, because we are dealing with unknowns. We are dealing with a situation we are not prepared for. This simple diagram really explains it all. The agility and flexibility is nothing but the confluence of people, workspace, and technology to achieve intended or underlying objectives, to deliver a service or to perform a job. Therefore, the underlying objectives of innovation work design in these times should be first and foremost is the safety of the people, right? The people who are dealing with the business, especially customs, who are the frontline workers, who handle the passengers, who handle the cargoes that are coming into your border, across your borders. And that could, in these pandemic times, the disease or the virus could really come through the borders. And then, the people who will be hit first would be your own people who are the custom officers and the immigration officers. So the safety of people should be the paramount objective, and their survival. If they are hit, what is the survival plan for them? And also survival of the revenue security is very important. That is one of our core mandates, and also the border security. These are the four underlying objectives of innovation and work design in any attempt to really innovate the work design. So when we talk about the people, I really talk about the Antigen experience, what we did and what we are still doing here. Okay, provision of safety gear and the personal protection equipment is a paramount thing, right? We have to provide the required safety, and we provide the safety gear and personal protective equipment. And with the coordination, the help and the assistance of the Minister of Health, we have conducted pandemic awareness training sessions. And also we have scaled down the staff to even 30%. If we have, our strength is about 200. 30% of is only deployed on any single day during this pandemic and lockdown times. And we focused only on critical areas and operations, not other administrative or other non-important. Rather, they could wait, but the most things that cannot wait are the processing of essential supplies across the borders, processing of the essential travel of the health workers, and the other assistant, other missions which really are intended or intended for aid, for aiding, helping the government and the people in these pandemic times. And also we have authorized the work from all the IT staff, because we are we implemented a secure world system, which is our business core business software, through which we process all the cargoes, their pre-clearances and etc. The IT component becomes very, very, very important. So IT staff were authorized to work from home so that they can provide the service to the clients and the public, an uninterrupted service. And then on weekdays itself, rotation of the staff, even with the 30%. Okay, a few people work on day 135, 2, 4, 6, that kind of a rotation we have implemented. This is all to safeguard the people and for their safety and for their security. And also, any staff members who are having existing medical conditions were given generously. They were advised to stay at home and take all precautionary measures to treat their underlying pre-existing medical conditions, because it was told that because of these pre-existing medical conditions, that class or that group of people would be really susceptible and vulnerable to attack the virus. Now, when coming to the place, we don't have the luxury of like other commercial businesses to change or expand our workspaces. Whatever the workspaces we have, we need to redesign or remodel it so that it could really serve the purpose of ensuring the safety and security, not only of the staff, but also of the people who frequent our offices for the service. So we have erected protective glass partitions at public interface counters. We have provided a system for communication across the counters. Okay, we started regular sanitation of workplaces, provision of sanitizers, etc. at the workplaces. Introduction of shift systems in offices where space is very, very cramped, right? Like for example, if a small room is there, originally it was 6 desks are placed. Now we are only allowing 3 people to work there. That kind of a maneuverism had to take place. And also we have kept that posted advisories to keep at the offices in the front doors. If anybody is suffering from any of the symptoms, please stay at home. So that kind of advisories to safeguard and protect the officers and the staff within the customs. And then the third element is the technology. As I said, the core business system Antigua and Barbuda implements is a secure world. It's a web-based system and virtually a paperless declaration system and processing system. So in order to strengthen the service and in order to provide uninterrupted service during these difficult times, the required server, production, database, and network servers, all the capacities were enhanced and consistently ensured to provide uninterrupted service to the people 24/7. Okay, and real-time communication. This the previous speakers have been really emphasizing on. The communication is the key to instill confidence, to instill a kind of a support, and also to educate the staff across the organization. We have WhatsApp chats, other social media platforms we have used extensively, and there are public service announcement via mass media to inform the public, staff, and private sector stakeholders about the availability of the custom service. And if we are closing down certain offices, that were also promptly relayed over the media. And so the communication was the key. If we keep communicating, I think the half of our job is done. And also we've instilled a 24/7 Asecura World help desk to assist the stakeholders. Now, in addition to this, we have to change the way we work too. The traditional way of following the protocols had to be slightly tweaked so that there are certain essential supplies, the most important things that are required to manage the COVID situation have to be really processed in shortest possible times. Therefore, need-based trade facilitation based on criticality and urgency to ensure food security, that's most important, and also the availability of medical and COVID-related supplies. Okay, we have waived physical inspections and the completion of paperwork even before releasing the staff, and at the back end, we allowed the completion of the paperwork, and the supplies were delivered on time, even during the odd hours and holidays. I remember I myself went to be with my staff to deliver a medical supply shipment late in the night at 9:30 or so, when everything was under lockdown, complete lockdown, not even a single bird on the street. So that's how we need to really be agile and flexible in order to meet up certain challenges that are thrown out by the pandemic, which were not foreseen before and which were not experienced before. So we should be willing to take up those challenges and really adjust to the environment. Then not only while we are facilitating the trade, while we were, waiving the physical inspections, we have increased the vigilance across the borders on risky consignments based on risk profiles, to strike a balance between the trade facilitation and security. Because that is very important, because if we don't have a robust risk management system in place, this times would pose a real challenge. While we are facilitating, the speedier releases, it is possible that we might miss certain dangerous shipments or certain harmful substances being sneaked into the country that could really endanger the safety and security of the whole population. Therefore, it is very important, and we met with successes. And during the lockdown time itself, there were increased number of drug introductions, and some firearms were also seized. Now, continuing with the redesigning work modalities, we have implemented reduced working schedules, supplemented by on-call service. Like, for example, some officers need not come. They will be at home, they are on call. Anytime they're called upon, 24/7, they would be available, so that the services could be effectively rendered on time and without any delay. And then we have done extensive, pre-arrival processing of the cargoes, so that when the cargoes arrive, there is no lead time or there is no delay in releasing those cargoes. We have prioritized the clearance of relief consignments, as I already told, and we have coordinated with other government agencies. This is another important thing, that we need to achieve a perfect coordination with all the government agencies that are involved in supply chain security. And we have introduction priority lanes even for broker stakeholders who are importing the COVID-related supplies, medical supplies, food, etc. Those are the minimum or the critical, supplies that are required to ensure the food safety, the food security, and also the the physical security of the people, the population. To conclude, redesigning and abruptly changing the workplace design, process and protocols is uncertain and not easy. It is not that easy, as I already told in my opening remarks, that there is no fixed or there is no standard structure which you follow. It will greatly depend upon your situation, your particular situation, your workforce at hand, the kind of capacities you have in terms of technology, in terms of resources. So you have to take all these accounts. For example, in Antigua and Barbuda, except as a world, we don't have any technology. We don't have any non-intrusive detection system. Thank God, now very recently, just before a month, we have some X-ray scanners for the cargoes. But otherwise, we didn't have any other technology other than SQL. But still, we had to improvise and increase our vigilance by the enforcement, so that we detect and interdict doubtful consignments, right? So it all depends on your country's situation. There is nothing straight-jacketed solution for any uncertainty to be dealt in this way. So it requires a lot of brainstorming. Involvement of the people is most important. The communication is most important, and the coordination with other law enforcement agencies. When you all work in tandem, I think we would really be able to manage to the fullest, satisfaction, or rather fullest effect, to manage this kind of a main object, and to achieve the main object of survival and safety in a pandemic situation like this. I think, and that's it from me. Thank you, Christina. If you have any questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. What we're going to do is proceed on to our second distinguished speaker, my colleague of my home country's neighbor to the north in Canada Border Services Agency, Miss Natasha Prudent. And just a friendly reminder to my speakers of 10-minute max, please, because our panel has the great fortune to summarize some of the very important findings from today. So Natasha, ma'am, over to you.
Thank you very much, Christina. I'm going to ask my colleague Raju to, if he could please stop sharing the screen, so I will be able, I'll start sharing my screen.
Sorry.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry.
No worries.
Sorry, dear. Yep.
Okay.
We're good to go.
So excellent. I would like to thank the Secretary General and the WCO for organizing such an important conference and the support we receive from the custom administrations that we receive. And it's an honor for me to be here today. I'm from the Canada Border Services Agency, and the agency with its 14,000 employees is responsible for providing integrated border services that support national security and public safety priorities and facilitate the free flow and of persons and goods across the border. In addition to the facilitation of travelers and trade, the agency also enforces more than 90 acts and regulations. So the COVID-19 pandemic has revealed that it is not just the context, but the experience of individuals in the context that matters, and that individual differences shape the experience of the context, especially when we think of the strength of character of individuals needed to efficiently navigate through the impact of the crisis and the myriads of challenges we have to overcome. Well-being at the workplace is extremely important, and more customer administrations have begun to recognize and appreciate the link between happy, safe, and healthy staff and organizational performance and resilience. Character has its roots in well-being. Developing the capability to elevate character alongside competence in organization will support individual well-being and sustain excellence. As such, today, I would like to present some key concepts or models of the future of work using the framework that the Canada Border Services Agency has been implemented since 2018 in the context of its renewal agenda, and more specifically, what we call the Culture Change Initiative. The framework that I would like to present to you, it's called the Leader Character Framework from Dr. Mary Crossan, a distinguished professor from the Ivey Business School in Canada, and her colleagues. I will present how leader character supports the future of work, and how Dr. Crossan and her colleagues have engaged a scholarship approach and with robust research to bridge the deep theory surrounding character in philosophy and psychology, and now making it something that we can use in organization in management practices. So what will be the key, back here, just 1 second. Okay, so what will be the key, I would say, key highlights of my presentation? So I'd like just to go back here, just 1 second. So first, we look at how COVID pandemic provides a compelling illustration as to the relevance of character in leaders and the lessons learned from the pandemic within the CBSA. So we will consider the significant organizational challenge that we face with the future of work to the lens of leader character. And when we do that, we see that we can have new perspective, insight, and innovative possibilities for productive and sustainable change. When we activate on character, we can definitely do the impossible, and also witness of character undermines our capacity to navigate to the future of work and the new models. And at the end, we'll see that organizational resilience, which is an element of character, the courage, depends large part on the resilience of its members. So let me tell you about the CBSA. Like I mentioned, we've been implementing character-based leadership since 2018. And in March 12, 2020, we established what we call the internal task force. And we had a session actually early this year where the DG, the Director General responsible for this task force, was talking about how the strength of character helped him lead, plan, and integrate all the work needed to deliver on the agency's mandate, and especially when it comes to the internal services needed within the COVID-19 pandemic. So he was telling us about how he was able to equip employees for the work from home, distribution also of the inventory management of all personal protective equipment. And that's more than like 1 million items. Also, we heard from our COVID border task force, the DG was talking to us about the support he was given to all regions, working also with the CBSA missions overseas and all of our partners to deliver on our program. So at the end, what we can definitely say is that from a workplace perspective, COVID-19 accelerated a shift to remote work and virtual meetings, and also increased use of automation and artificial intelligence. So this is an opportunity to leverage the gains made and to think of the future of work, innovative work design. And from a workforce perspective, we need, with the new technology, requires new skills, what we call reskilling. But those skills are not only technological, but social and cognitive. Continuous learning and what we call the growth mindset is needed. And many of the character dimension and also improvisation will come to play to support this. And employees must be engaged and at the center of this. And this is what we'll be hearing from the beginning. The people factor, it's very important, needs to be at the core and includes also the process of developing the new normal, engaging them in this process. So let me now tell you more about the character-based leadership.
Bien, os voy a hablar de liderazgo sobre la base del carácter. Tal y como he dicho antes, parte de ello se ha desarrollado por parte de la doctora que mencioné antes y se trata de desarrollar distintas dimensiones del carácter. Implica también que es una brújula para poder navegar un contexto específico, en particular la pandemia, y poder tomar las decisiones adecuadas. Ven aquí que hay distintas dimensiones del carácter que se toman en cuenta, así como comportamientos visibles que apoyen esa determinación para hacernos resiliente, digamos, con arrojo. Hoy nos centraremos en la resiliencia. Uno de los elementos fundamentales es la trascendencia, la capacidad de plantear una perspectiva a futuro, a pesar de los grandes desafíos a los que se tienen que hacer frente. El arrojo, para poder tener el valor necesario para poder ponerse en primera línea en tanto que liderazgo para poder ser determinado, resiliente y confiar en poder superar los desafíos. La templanza, que lo que hace es dar la calma necesaria y la compostura necesaria porque se entiende que nuestras palabras, emociones o comportamientos, buenos o malos, pueden ser contagiosos, pueden ser como una chispa y la yesca. La colaboración también es fundamental para garantizar la conexión e interconexión de las personas que están a nuestro alrededor y que también nos permite ser más abiertos y adoptar una percepción que nos permita acoger, no ser solamente un héroe. También, por lo tanto, es importante la humildad, sobre todo es importante como aprendizaje. En tanto que líderes tenemos que aunar, tenemos que ser el cemento. No tenemos que convertirnos solamente lo que garantice el buen resultado. Esto es importante tenerlo muy en cuenta. Es importante darle una dimensión humana, la compasión, la empatía, la justicia. Fundamental, por supuesto, hacer gala también de integridad para ayudar a encontrar las soluciones fundamentales que nos permitirán capear este temporal. Cuando una organización busca adoptar este marco de carácter de liderazgo, es importante empezar con la concienciación. ¿Por qué es tan importante? ¿Por qué hay que tener estos elementos importantes? Empieza con la interacción con los cuadros directivos y luego va percolando, cayendo gota a gota hacia abajo en el resto de la organización y, por supuesto, también garantizando la interacción con las partes interesadas. Tiene que ver con gestión de crisis también, por ejemplo. Para que este comportamiento se imbrique y integre plenamente en la organización, es importante que esté en todas las prácticas de recursos humanos de la empresa, empezando por la misma política de contratación. Y esto también tendrá unos efectos positivos en el bienestar. Por ejemplo, vamos a hablar de la improvisación. La pandemia nos ha obligado a todos a improvisar, a todas nosotras. Y esto ha acelerado también, por ejemplo, la necesidad de trabajar desde casa. Nosotros en la CBS teníamos a muchas personas que tenían que trabajar en casa, no la gente que estaba sobre el terreno, pero los que estábamos en las oficinas centrales. Teníamos que trabajar desde casa y también estudiar desde casa. Esto, por ejemplo, nos permitió ser un motor para la improvisación y ser también a la vez un revulsivo, un catalizador para el aprendizaje, perdón. Parte de la investigación se ha centrado en la competencia técnica, en la experiencia y la capacidad para improvisar. Sin embargo, lo que se ha visto también es que esta competencia no es suficiente, que es importante también incluir el carácter, porque es digamos, una tarea. Por lo tanto, es importante tener la capacidad de juicio necesaria de jugar con unos elementos y otros y poder priorizar, por supuesto. Esta es la palabra mágica, priorizar. Planificación también. He aquí otra de las palabras claves. Esto nos permitirá tomar decisiones aprendiendo también del pasado, porque las cosas evidentemente están cambiando. Es importante encauzarlas de forma distintas. Esto también resalta la importancia de otros elementos como temperanza, humildad, humanidad, valor, arrojo, etcétera, las que ya he mencionado antes. Por lo tanto, es importante, la improvisación es un proceso creativo y espontáneo que nos permite conseguir un objetivo de una nueva forma y reconocer y reorganizar la forma de aprender y de formar dentro de una misma administración. Otro elemento que quiero también que quiero mencionar es el efecto. No se trata solamente de la tecnología y de su uso, sino de cuál va a ser el impacto y la incidencia que va a tener esta en nuestra filosofía de trabajo, en mí como trabajador. ¿Qué impacto va a tener esto en mis emociones?
Having employee service programs that help from a mental health perspective. So what is hybrid models? It's basically a model that establishes a new balance between office and remote work arrangement for office workers that capitalizes on recent advancement in tools, practices, and understanding to better meet employee and operational objective. So when we think of hybrid, key principles is basically we need to enable both on-site and virtual work, commitment to lead, and this is a great concept that Lucas Manzani from also the Ivy Business School has really wrote about this and did some research. So leaders need to lean on commitment with its components of aspiration, engagement, and sacrifice to prepare and guide the ship. Accountability, transcendence, justice, and humanity are needed to prioritize flexibility in finding work arrangement that effectively balance the needs of its people and the organization. Support to employees, their needs is very important around work site, schedule, and location. And we need to activate humanity, collaboration, and justice to do that. When some people are in the room and others are not, we need to ensure that doesn't create a two-tier culture. And finally, humanity and accountability and drive are needed to value, prioritize, and promote mental and physical health and wellness social connection. Finally, let me touch on the transforming the learning culture and character implication for us. So first, we need to think of the strategic workforce assessment. So we need to elevate our individual and collective accountability. And this is paramount because we need to think also of transcendence, which will help us have a united front and common purpose. That will help us assess the skills that the workforce will need. Creativity, critical thinking, social intelligence, skills in software design, big data. These are things that we are hearing a lot. Biometrics, those skills are very important in the context that we are right now. Courage and drive to determine when tasks to automate and when. So what tasks should we automate? So we need courage and then the drive to do this. And humanity, compassion, empathy, and justice needed for significant retraining of our employees' efforts. So learning in the flow of work and life. So learning is happening, like Deloitte is saying, not only at work, but in life. And we need to integrate learning into the flow of work and life and empower people to actively develop throughout their lives that would require from us accountability, humanity, and collaboration as leaders. And for the learner, this will require humanity and growth mindset. Also when it comes to agility and resilience for the workforce, well, improvisation is a key organizational agility that we discussed, and temperance is needed as a huge antidote for burnout. And this will create resilience in organization. So finally, just to complete and conclude, so we have, what are the different outcomes once we implement character in the context of future work We will have well-being in the individual, greater engagement. Our teams are going to have more collaboration, and the organization will have a more robust culture and resilience. And also we will cultivate stronger relationship and trust with our stakeholders. So thank you very much for listening. And I don't know if, and I've also given you a few references should you be interested in this research. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Natasha. We do have some questions in the chat, but we're not, in the interest of time, we were going to handle those a bit later. I would like to very happily introduce our third panelist, Mr. Olivier Rodney. Sir, could you please come up on the screen? We're very much looking forward to a very tight update from your side, please, sir.
Hello, good morning. So what language do you want me to speak? I thought it was Spanish.
You can do English or Spanish, sir, whichever you prefer.
Okay, as you want. Okay. So I will share my screen. Okay. Okay. Entonces, bueno, ya iba a hablar inglés también. Mucho gusto.
I can do this in English or Spanish. A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. It is a true pleasure to be here with you. I will do as Natasha has done. She has talked a lot about organizational values and transcending and adapting. I will be adapting my presentation according to what has already been said, so as not to be repetitive. I will talk about agility and flexibility through the entrepreneur method. We need to understand the mechanics of entrepreneurship through the 15 features detailed here. I have been listening to all of what you have been saying. We've talked about the human side. We've talked about technology. We've talked about the different methods and models developed. For us, both within our organization and with our client, this entrepreneur model
para reinventar el trabajo, ¿no? Porque nos dimos cuenta
to reinvent our work. The pandemic has shown us that things can happen, the unforeseen can happen, and that can do a great damage and can turn everything upside down. So, entrepreneurship is the process through which an individual or a group of individuals, such as an organization, together with an existing organization, create a new organization or renews or innovates within the organization. So this context means, rather, in which context is this model used? How can it help an organization? It can revitalize the organization, maybe an organization is going through some difficult times. In this case, we're talking about the pandemic, but it could be anything else. It could be cost reductions, budgetary reductions, or I don't know, Brexit in the UK, for instance. Maybe it's a merger. Maybe it's a change of leadership. Any strong change in direction, for instance. Entrepreneurship brings forward for staff a new drive, a boost to do things and change things. It becomes a symbol, a physical proof of change, the proof that creativity, that forward-looking attitudes and facing risks will be again a priority. It's also positive to make an organization less rigid, such as customs administrations, for instance. They're very focused on processes, even beyond, if you allow. You're bound by law. You're bound by the rules and procedures emanating from that legal framework. This might hinder innovative processes. There's a lot of rules, there's a lot of steps, there's a lot of boxes to be checked. There's a lot of stages that have to be accomplished. So this process can be used as an alternative. It can give to one or several employees within this given framework to carry out a project outside the usual channels. So we have identified 7 main levers that can be used in entrepreneurship. Number 1, engagement. I'm talking here about the C-level for the private sector. But it's also leadership. We need a clear commitment and an adequate budget allocation to ensure this. We need, number 2, to create the adequate space and adequate places, because it can be a physical place to give greater autonomy. It has to be a dedicated space for it. We also need, number 3, formal procedures for assessment and support. Any process has to be assessed at the end and all along implementation. So this is a guarantee of objectivity and ensures the balance of the different mechanisms in place. Number 4, we need to strengthen exchanges and communication. It has to be so both within the group, the dedicated group, and the rest of organization. The more people communicate, the greater the development of these skills will be. Number 5, we need to establish a system that brings about specific benefits and incentives. We're all human. There has to be something in for the people participating in this process. Number 6, training and awareness raising for staff. What are the objectives that we are pursuing? What are our goals? Why do we use this model? Why are we doing what we're doing? What will this model bring about both to staff and the organization? And since we're talking about flexibility, swiftness, as Natasha was saying, improvisation, it brings me to number 7, spare time. We need, or rather the group needs, a certain leeway so as to develop this entrepreneurship model. But what are the advantages of this model for any organization? I'm guessing you know this already, but it will allow any organization to innovate faster. From the moment we decide to create these dedicated groups, new ideas will arise, new ways of work will be proposed, and this, in turn, will speed up innovation. It will also allow us to leverage the existing talent and to retain it. And as one of the speakers was saying, entrepreneurship allows us to bring this future of work closer to the present. It will make the organization stronger. So what's the relationship between entrepreneurship and human resources? Of course, we want to attract and to keep within the organization the talent. No organization wants its brightest talents to go away. For customs administrations, as for any public administration, the temptation of the private sector is always a danger for public officials. So we need to retain this talent so it doesn't go looking for other opportunities abroad. We need to also speed up training. It's not, we must stop thinking in silos. It's not, here goes leadership, here goes management, here, no. We need a holistic approach, evidence-based approach. This is also linked to the first point. This, in turn, strengthens as well company branding. I don't know how much time I have left. I can see that I've gone a little bit above the limit. I will be quite brief and point out the different features that we would like to highlight. Of course, resilience and tenacity, capacity of influence, be able to connect different dots between different interests and experiences, curiosity, to be able and willing to challenge the status quo, to be someone with a good network, to be an extrovert, passionate, to have Socratic tendencies, to tolerate adversity, to have a forward-looking vision, to have a strong self-esteem, to be flexible, to be healthy, because this requires a lot of health, and to be productive. This is all on my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Gracias, sir. Appreciate it.
Mm.
And appreciate the beautiful visual depictions there with your presentation. I have a very important function as part of this panel to wrap up our day, which of course included beginning from our Secretary General and other distinguished leaders. But first, I'd like to squeeze in one question. And I'd like to know if our Director General of Customs, Raju, is still there, because I think this question is probably very well suited for you, sir. And it pertains to a question from the chat about how do we balance the sense of urgency of work with all that's in front of us with these issues, the people issues. So, sir, with your operational experience, we wonder if you could comment on that. And if we don't have Mr. Raju here, I can offer the floor to another colleague. Going once. Olivier, since you're here, do you have any sage advice about how to balance the urgency of the work, urgency of the mission that's in front of us, with all this redesign and all these different ideas that you have presented here today, sir?
All right. Yes, definitely. Balance is very important. If people are not well in their minds and physically, they will not be able to accomplish their responsibility at work. So that may sound very generalist, but it's a basic. It's a basic.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And we are going to commence our wrap up of today. We all have had the benefit of having this third panel be fresh in our minds that kind of discuss some of the practical ways to innovate with the design, keeping this pandemic in mind, and innovation and the people. And we certainly heard some themes throughout the day. But as I summarize day one, I would just like to say we began with a very insightful keynote speech from our Secretary General, Mr. Mercuria, Dr. Mercuria, who noted the key actions the WCO has taken amid the COVID-19 pandemic, but also emphasizing our need to look to the future and to be able to face the challenges we have in this new world. He wisely noted the need to put people in the center of our change and how this conference is aimed at supporting the 2021 customs theme of customs bolstering recovery, renewal, and resilience for a sustainable supply chain. So very, very relevant to this event and to the ideas we're discussing today. So the first panel was where C. Mohammed enabled the introduction of these very important concepts. And we had some really outstanding senior leaders to offer their perspectives, beginning with Deputy Secretary General of the WCO, Ricardo Trevino, and where he provided his views of how the enablers in the customs environment, so leadership, innovation, flexibility, technology, and tools, while also underpinning this all with the human factor and how that needs to be at the center of everything that we do. Our distinguished Vice Chair of Guatemala and also Director General of Customs described the resilience quotient and the capacity that it enables us to be stronger. He emphasized the importance of effective governance inside our organization, the need to bring in the private sector and continue robust dialogue there, and direct intervention from the government when it's needed. But I was most intrigued by his discussion of disruptive thinking as part of our normal course. I think many of us in government have only heard people say, this is the way we've always done it. So it was outstanding that he was reinforcing that we need to think anew and break through barriers we've had for many years. Finally, he emphasized the importance of digital transformation. I mean, e-signatures and things that we maybe should have thought about before this pandemic, but we certainly have figured it out now. Our very distinguished professor from down under, David Widdowson, he capably discussed how resilience is taking whatever the world throws at us and dealing with it, and offered great anecdotes, focusing on preparedness, agility, and flexibility. And it's not all about the job in front of us, but it's being able to respond to things that may not be what we're seeing right now. So it's being able to think and anticipate and sense. And then Mr. Sylvan Hungerblur of the WCO provided unique insights on their work, their capacity building missions, and their key lessons related to resilience and the need for customs to act strategically in relation to resilience, new ways of thinking, and to join with stakeholders in pursuit of this in the future. And finally, the Secretary General, we were able to have him conclude the first sessions and by noting the key recommendations for all participants. It's very clear that leadership, agility, and we have to center on our most treasured asset, which is our human resources. The second panel led into building people-centered leadership culture. And outstanding speaker, subject matter expert from Peru's Sunat, she discussed a very wise and well put together 7 critical factors, the 7 C's. Our U.S. Customs and Border Protection expert provided detailed information on the issues that CBP has been grappling with in this space, noting the varied programs and opportunities that are there for the workforce. I was quite struck by the notable stressor related to childcare, but it makes a lot of sense with the 24/7, 365 days a year border operation. But her passion about the topic was very clear, and we're very grateful for that. And then Mr. Luis Andres Rivendeneria reminded us that people are at the center of these organizations, the importance of truly connecting with our most treasured assets, human beings. Are you hearing a theme? Empathy was persistent throughout his presentation, and I love the Chicago Bulls example. I will never forget 1998 when Chicago Bulls won. So it's an awesome example from my home country. So thank you, sir, for that. And then finally, we are just fresh off the third panel, and that was more moving to some of these practical dimensions as we look to design our work modalities, as we hopefully are getting through this pandemic. And so I think some of these concepts are fresh on your mind. I'm very, very grateful for everybody today and for the very engaging event. And I would like to turn it over to Si Mohammed, sir, please.
Thank you very much, Christina, for this summary. It's really showing that we discussed a lot on this first day. I would like to thank a lot all participants who were really very enthusiastic and participating in the chat. In the chat box. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to our interpreters. I know that it was a hard task. Thank you very much appreciated for the excellent work that you did for today. I encourage our participants to join us tomorrow, same time, for 3 hours, and we will have excellent and relevant topic to be discussed. Thanks to all our distinguished panelists who shared with us their relevant and insightful ideas and experience. Thanks a lot for your support and for all what you did in the success of this conference. See you tomorrow, same time, and looking forward to see you tomorrow. Thanks a lot. For one question, we are doing our best to record this conference. Once it's recorded, we will share it with all of you and all our partners. Thank you so much and see you tomorrow. Thanks a lot.